The first warning came through the tree line, an unnatural hum, thin and metallic, vibrating in pulses that didn't belong to wind or wildlife. Captain Elias Ward felt it through the soles of his boots before he heard it. Snow cracked softly beneath him as he raised a fist, signaling the squad to halt. The forest around them stretched like a cathedral of frozen pillars, each tree tall, silent, and armored with ice. Night pressed overhead, cold and starless. Sergeant Myra Cade stepped up beside Elias, her breath a thin cloud drifting into the air. "Same frequency pattern as before," she whispered. "Definitely alien machinery. 2 clicks ahead." Elias nodded. They had tracked the signal for nearly 12 hours, pushing deeper into the neutral zone carved between Earth territory and the Zurati occupation belt. They were supposed to be scouting. Quiet. Invisible. In and out. But then command intercepted a transmission, fragmented, panicked, unmistakably human. Children's voices. And a scream. Elias replayed it in his mind even now, the broken plea that shattered every military protocol he had sworn to uphold. "Help us, please." He wasn't leaving without finding them. "Thermals?" Elias asked. "Minimal," Myra replied, studying her visor. "Zurati signatures run cooler than ours. They blend into the environment unless they're moving. So they're stationary," Corporal Roffi said. "Maybe a base. Or a prison," Myra muttered. Elias turned toward the sound. The humming deepened into a droning throb, rhythmic and precise, like a heartbeat carved from metal. The Zurati liked to bury their facilities. Camouflage was one of their oldest weapons. They built structures into natural terrain, using biology and machinery as interchangeable materials. Finding one in the wilderness wasn't luck. It meant something was happening here, something deliberate. "Eyes up," Elias said. "We move." The squad advanced through the snow, each step measured, quiet, controlled. Frost clung to their gear, soft crystals collecting on rifles and armor plates. The cold made everything sharper. The senses narrowed. Every breath felt louder than it was. The hum grew stronger the deeper they went. Eventually, the forest opened into a clearing. Moonlight reflected off something half buried beneath the snow, smooth metal ribs protruding like the bones of a crashed ship. But the structure wasn't broken. It was alive with faint light, lines of blue energy weaving through its surface like veins under skin. Roffi crouched. "Definitely Zurati tech." "No guards?" Myra asked. "That's never a good sign." Then they heard it, soft, distant, human. Crying. Muffled. Small. Terrified. Elias felt his pulse spike. He didn't hesitate. "We breach." The team fanned out around the structure. The entrance was a slit between 2 metallic plates that flexed like living tissue. A single touch from Elias's glove made it contract, shivering open with a wet mechanical sigh. Inside, the temperature climbed. Warm, humid air replaced the cold. The corridor glowed faintly, illuminated by bioluminescent strands woven into the walls. The hum vibrated stronger here, resonating through bone, making each step feel heavier. "Feels like walking into a throat," Roffi muttered. "Zurati design everything with organic layering," Myra said. "They claim it's efficient." "Creepy as hell," Roffi replied. The deeper they moved, the clearer the crying became. Not a single voice, several. Different ages. All frightened. Elias slowed near a junction. A shadow flickered across the far end of the corridor, tall and angular. The Zurati silhouette. He raised 2 fingers, signaling Myra and Roffi to flank the opposite corridor. The alien stepped into view before the squad had time to reposition. 8 feet tall. Thin limbs. Skin like metallic stone. Eyes dark and reflective, absorbing every detail without blinking. Its head tilted, examining the humans without fear. It spoke first. "You should not be here," it said, voice soft and melodic. Strange for a creature built like a weapon. Elias didn't lower his rifle. "You're detaining human children in this facility." "Where are they?" The Zurati blinked slowly, as if processing something absurd. "Detaining?" The alien tilted its head. "You believe we captured them?" "Their voices led us here," Elias said. We heard them screaming. The Zurati exhaled, producing a sound halfway between disappointment and disbelief. This misunderstanding is severe. Move aside, Myra ordered. Instead, the Zurati stepped forward. We do not harm children, it said. Human or otherwise. Bringing them here was an act of mercy, not cruelty. Elias felt a flicker of confusion. Explain. They wandered into the wastelands, the Zurati replied. They were freezing. Exhausted. We recovered them to prevent death. Rofi scoffed. So you decided to hide them in an alien bunker in the middle of nowhere? This region is guarded, the Zurati said. We shield them until we determine safe passage back to your settlements. Our kind has learned, humans do not always welcome our presence. Elias kept his rifle trained. Prove they're alive. The Zurati gestured toward a side corridor. Follow me. If I intended harm, you would not have reached this chamber alive. Myra shot Elias a wary look. Sir. He weighed the options. If the children existed, the alien would lead them. If this was a trap, they were already inside it. The hum in the walls grew stronger, almost like a warning. Finally, Elias nodded. Show us. The Zurati turned and led them deeper into the structure. They passed biological machinery pulsing with energy, strange pods embedded in the walls, and small hovering drones shaped like metallic insects. The interior felt less like a building and more like a creature, warm, breathing, alive. Then the corridor opened into a chamber filled with soft white light. Children, 7 of them, sat together on cushioned platforms. None were injured. None restrained. A small holographic device projected gentle imagery to calm them. The Zurati caretakers tended to them, offering nutrient vials and checking their vitals. One girl spotted Elias. Her eyes widened. Are you here to take us home? Elias lowered his rifle, heart tightening. Yes, he said softly. We're here now. The Zurati watched him, unreadable. We do not imprison children, it said quietly. The thought is insane. Its tone made Elias pause. Maybe this mission was not what Command believed. Maybe something bigger, something dangerous, was unfolding behind the scenes. And the children were only the beginning. The children clustered around Elias as soon as he stepped into the chamber. Their faces were pale and tired, but their eyes brightened at the sight of human soldiers. Relief washed over them like a thaw breaking through ice. Myra knelt, checking each one for injuries, her voice steady and soft despite the tension radiating through the room. You're safe now, she assured them. We're taking you home. One of the boys tugged at her sleeve. The aliens didn't hurt us, he said quietly. They saved us. Elias exchanged a glance with Rofi. The Zurati stood near the entrance, motionless yet focused, observing every reaction. Its posture wasn't aggressive, more restrained, almost cautious. Elias stepped toward it. How did you find them? They crossed into the abandoned sectors, the alien replied. Your settlements have not restored warning systems there. Myra frowned. That zone hasn't been active for years. Why go there? The Zurati's head tilted. They were searching for someone. A murmur spread among the children. Elias turned back to them. Is that true? A girl in a silver coat nodded. Our friend got separated during the storm. We tried to follow his trail. Her voice trembled. We thought he fell. Elias crouched to her level. What's his name? Liam. The alien stepped forward slightly. We detected another signature, but it vanished before we could locate it. Elias felt a knot form in his stomach. Storms in this region swallowed everything: sound, heat signatures, even footprints. If the boy was still alive, time was bleeding out fast. Could he have moved deeper into the wasteland? Rofi asked. Possible, the Zurati answered. The atmospheric shifts distort our scans. Then he's still out there. Elias rose. We're finding him. The children's relief faltered, concern rippling across their faces. The Zurati spoke again, voice low. You cannot cross further into the storm belt without assistance. The terrain is unpredictable, and the environmental shifts have grown unstable. Elias narrowed his eyes. Why tell us this? Helping humans isn't exactly standard Zurati policy. For the first time, a change appeared in the aliens' stance, something like hesitation. Because this conflict does not serve any of us. The children prove that survival sometimes requires cooperation. Myra crossed her arms. Cooperation? Or control? You judge too quickly, the alien replied. Elias stepped between them. What's your name? The Zurati blinked slowly. My designation is VA Ren. Fine, VA Ren. Elias lowered his rifle slightly. If you want us to trust you, start by telling us why you built a facility in a region both sides agreed to keep clear. This shelter predates your treaty, VA Ren said. Our people established outposts long before the war. We maintain them to study environmental collapse. Convenient, Rofi muttered. VA Ren ignored him. The boy may be alive, it continued. But not for long. The storms increase unpredictably. Without proper shielding, no species can withstand them. Elias felt the weight of the situation tightening around him. Show us the scan data. VA Ren motioned toward the chamber's far wall. A panel unfolded silently, revealing a holographic map flickering with shifting patterns of blue and red. The storm belt appeared as violent spirals tearing through the terrain. A single faint heat signature blinked near one of the spirals, then disappeared. That's all you caught? Myra asked. That is all the storm allowed, VA Ren replied. Elias studied the pattern. If that reading was real, Liam is somewhere near the collapsing ridge. Rofi stepped closer. That ridge is unstable. One wrong step and the ground caves in. Myra exhaled slowly. We need better environmental gear. VA Ren straightened. We have suits adapted for the storms. I will guide you. All three soldiers froze. You're coming with us? Rofi asked, disbelief heavy in his voice. Yes, VA Ren said simply. I retrieved the children. It is logical that I assist you in retrieving the last one. Elias studied the alien. His instincts screamed caution, but everything so far had aligned: no deceit, no aggression, no hidden ambushes. The children were unharmed. Their condition spoke louder than any speech. Still, trusting an alien in enemy territory was a step that crossed every line command had drawn. Myra voiced what Elias already felt. If you lead us into a trap, we won't make it easy for you. VA Ren's eyes glimmered faintly. If I intended harm, I would have allowed the storm to take the children. Yet here they stand. The room quieted. Elias finally spoke. Prep the suits. We leave in 10 minutes. The children watched with a mixture of worry and hope. Elias approached them once more. Listen, he said gently, you're safe here until we return. The soldiers outside will stay with you. A small boy clung to Myra's glove. Bring him back. We will, she said, steady as steel. Elias turned toward VA Ren. Show us the equipment. VA Ren led them into a side chamber filled with racks of bioengineered suits, sleek, layered structures combining fabric, flexible armor, and thin membranes that shimmered with reactive energy. Each piece molded itself to the wearer's shape as if alive. Myra inspected one closely. These adapt to temperature shifts. Yes, VA Ren said. They also filter toxins and regulate pressure. Rofi held up the helmet unit. And these? They look like insect shells. They channel storm static, VA Ren explained. Without them, disorientation is inevitable. Elias fitted his gear. The suit sealed itself around his arms and torso, adjusting with a faint hum. The temperature steadied instantly. Feels strange, he said. It will protect you, VA Ren replied. Myra tightened her gloves. Let's hope your tech is as good as you claim. Survival depends on it, VA Ren said. When they were fully geared, Elias activated his comms. Team, ready. 1, Myra confirmed. 2, Rofi added. VA Ren touched a small device embedded in its suit. I am prepared. Elias moved toward the exit tunnel. The living walls opened with a ripple, releasing a rush of cold air. Snow drifted into the chamber, swirling in thin spirals. They stepped outside. The forest was darker than before, wind slicing through the branches with a low, mournful howl. The storm belt shimmered in the distance, lightning threading through clouds that twisted unnaturally. Elias felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. "Via Ren," he said, "if the storm is as unstable as you say, how do we track him?" Via Ren pointed to the horizon. "We follow the static trails. The storms leave signatures. He may have sheltered near one of them." "And if the ridge collapses?" Rofi asked. "Then we improvise," Via Ren said. The alien's calmness was unsettling, but also strangely reassuring. Elias took the first step forward. "Let's bring the boy home." The team advanced into the stormlit darkness, unaware of the revelations and the dangers waiting ahead. Snow whipped across the ridge in violent spirals as Elias and his team moved behind Via Ren. Their new suits absorbed the worst of the cold, but the storm belt ahead looked nothing like the mild flurries around them. It churned with electric glare, pale arcs flashing through clouds that twisted as if alive. Thunder cracked without warning, echoing through the frozen forest like metal striking bone. Rofi stared at the roiling horizon. "We're really walking into that." "We don't have a choice," Elias said. Via Ren examined a scanner integrated into its forearm. Thin strands of light mapped the storm's movement, flickering constantly. "Static fields are shifting quickly. We must stay close. Separation is dangerous." Myra adjusted her helmet's visor. "Define dangerous." "Loss of direction. Neural disorientation. Collapse of sensory perception." "So we'll get lost in our own heads," Rofi muttered. "Precisely," Via Ren replied, unfazed. They reached the boundary where the normal storm ended and the alien phenomenon began. Elias felt the shift immediately, a pressure change, subtle but undeniable, like stepping into a vacuum that hadn't decided whether it wanted to crush or consume. "Keep comms open," he ordered. Static buzzed through their earpieces, but the channel held. Via Ren raised a hand. "Follow my steps exactly. Even slight deviation can disrupt spatial stability." "Spatial stability," Rofi whispered. "Love that." They entered the storm. The world transformed instantly. Lightning flared overhead, illuminating the landscape in abrupt, cold flashes. The air vibrated with electric tension. Snowflakes didn't fall, they floated sideways, caught in invisible currents. The forest thinned until it resembled silhouettes drawn against a shifting curtain. Their helmets filtered the distortion, but Elias still felt the pull of something unfamiliar, like gravity bending in ways it shouldn't. The ground hummed beneath each step. Via Ren continued forward with deliberate precision. "This region is unstable. We track the static echoes left by your missing child." Myra scanned the terrain. "How can a child survive this?" "Instinct," Via Ren answered. "Life often persists where logic says it can't." A sudden burst of light cracked across the ridge. The impact shook snow from branches and sent a tremor through the frozen ground. Rofi staggered, catching himself on a rock. "Tell me that wasn't close." "It was close," Via Ren said. "Keep moving." They advanced deeper into the storm. The hum in the environment increased, resonating inside their chests. Elias noticed something strange, shapes forming in the haze. Echoes of figures, flickering like afterimages. The helmets flagged them as non-physical distortions. "Via Ren," Elias said quietly, "what am I seeing?" "Static projections," the alien replied. "The storm mirrors anything that passes through it. Do not interact with them." Myra glanced at one projection, a tall, stretched silhouette that dissipated as she approached. "Feels like walking through nightmares." "Nightmares only have power if you believe them," Via Ren said. Rofi snorted. "Comforting." They pressed on. Minutes blurred. The storm distorted their sense of time, stretching moments into something elastic. Elias focused on the mission, Liam, somewhere ahead, fighting to stay alive. Then Via Ren halted. "What is it?" Elias asked. The alien gestured toward a patch of wind-scoured snow. "A thermal residual. Recently formed." Myra crouched and inspected it. "Something fell here." "Someone," Elias corrected. Rofi scanned the area. "He slid down this slope." Elias peered at the decline. Jagged ice formations jutted out like crystal blades. The slope narrowed into a canyon carved by shifting winds. He could be trapped down there, Myra said. Via Ren examined the canyon entrance. The storm is strongest within that passage. But his last echo leads inside. Then we follow it, Elias said. They descended carefully, using embedded suit grips for stability. The wind intensified, roaring through the canyon like a living entity. Lightning sparked between ice columns overhead, casting rapid flashes across the walls. Halfway down, Rofi paused. "Sir, look." A small object rested against a rock half buried in ice. Myra retrieved it. A child's glove. Blue. Torn. Frozen stiff. Elias felt a jolt of urgency. "He came through here." Via Ren placed a hand against the canyon wall. "I detect faint movement deeper inside. Not storm distortion. Something biological." "Human?" Elias asked. "Possibly. But something else moves as well." Myra tightened her grip on her rifle. "What else?" Via Ren didn't answer immediately. Its reflective eyes narrowed, processing the data. "Predators," it finally said. "The storm birthed new species. They thrive on static energy." Rofi exhaled sharply. "Fantastic." Elias steadied himself. "We move." Quiet and controlled. They advanced deeper into the canyon. The walls pulsed with faint luminescence, natural or stormborn, Elias couldn't tell. The ground leveled out into a wider chamber where the wind calmed, almost unnervingly so. Then they heard it. A faint cry. Weak. Trembling. Human. Myra's breath hitched. "That's him." She moved ahead, but Via Ren blocked her with an outstretched arm. "Not yet." A metallic screech echoed from the darkness. It was low at first, then rose sharply, vibrating through the chamber like a blade dragging across steel. Another cry followed, closer, sharper. Rofi steadied his weapon. That wasn't human. Elias scanned the shadows. The stormlight flickered, revealing shifting shapes along the far wall, creatures formed from jagged limbs and translucent hides crackling with static arcs. Their silhouettes shimmered as if half-real. Via Ren spoke softly. "Storm wraiths. Drawn to living heat. Are they solid?" Myra asked. "Solid enough to kill." The creatures edged closer. Myra spotted a small figure curled between two ice slabs. "Elias, there." "Liam." The boy was shaking violently, clutching his knees, trying to press himself into the ice to hide. His face was white from cold, eyes wide with terror. The wraiths circled, sensing his warmth. Elias tightened his grip on his rifle. "We're taking him now." Rofi, Myra, left flank. Via Ren, right with me. Via Ren nodded. "Engage with precision. Distortion can redirect your shots." Elias signaled silently. The first wraith lunged. Myra fired a controlled burst, shattering part of its form. Static exploded from the impact, scattering in bright arcs. Rofi targeted another, driving it back with rapid-fire bursts. Via Ren moved with fluid, predatory grace. Its weapon, an energy blade integrated into its arm, cut cleanly through a wraith's body, dissolving it into fragments of light. Elias sprinted forward, sliding across the ice toward Liam. "Liam, I've got you," he shouted. The boy looked up, dazed. I couldn't find the path." "You're safe now," Elias said, lifting him. "Hold on." A wraith lunged from behind. Elias turned, but Via Ren reached it first, cleaving it in a single strike. "Go," Via Ren said. "I will cover." Elias carried Liam toward the canyon entrance as the team formed a defensive arc. More wraiths emerged from the haze, drawn by the heat signatures of the living. "We need to fall back," Myra called. "Move," Elias ordered. They retreated up the slope as Via Ren defended the rear, its strikes precise and unbroken. The wraiths lunged repeatedly but were forced back by coordinated fire. At last, they cleared the canyon. The storm winds shifted behind them, sealing the path with swirling ice. Elias knelt, holding Liam close. The boy's breathing steadied as Myra wrapped a thermal layer around him. "You're safe," she whispered. "We've got you." Viren stepped toward Elias, its movements slower, fatigue visible in its posture. Elias met its gaze. You saved him. Viren inclined its head. A life preserved strengthens all. Elias felt something he never expected, a flicker of trust. But before he could speak, Viren's eyes darkened. We must return, it said quietly. Something else is coming. The storm's behavior is no longer natural. Elias stiffened. What do you mean? The storm is being directed. The storm's roar faded behind them as the team emerged from the canyon, Liam wrapped securely in Myra's arms. Snow continued to fall in thin waves, but the violent static flare that had distorted the world moments ago now pulsed in slow, unsettling intervals. Each pulse sent a fresh tremor through the forest floor. Elias steadied Liam and looked at Viren. Explain what you meant. Who's directing the storm? Viren's posture tightened. The wraiths and distortions are not natural. They're being shaped. The energy surges are synchronized. Something is amplifying the storm belt far beyond its usual pattern. Rofi scanned the horizon. Is that even possible? Yes, Viren said. With the right catalyst. Elias stiffened. Is this a Zurati experiment? Viren shook its head. Not sanctioned. Not approved. A rogue scientist named Talcor defected recently. He believed the storm belts could be weaponized. Myra frowned. Weaponized? Against who? Everyone, Viren said. He views both species as flawed. He believes survival requires extinction followed by rebirth. Rofi exhaled sharply. So we're dealing with a fanatic. More than that, Viren replied. He understands the storms better than anyone alive. If he manipulates them further, the region will collapse. Elias looked down at Liam, who clutched his arm weakly. We're getting the children out first. You must, Viren agreed. But Talcor will not allow it. Elias studied the alien. Why help us stop him? Viren's voice softened. Because he betrayed our principles. And because saving the children proves humanity holds value. That matters more than conflict. A deep rumble rippled through the trees. Snow cascaded from branches. The ground shook again, stronger this time. Rofi steadied himself. That didn't sound like weather. It isn't, Viren said. His awakening the core. Elias tightened his hold on Liam. Move. Back to the shelter. They advanced quickly, guided by Viren's scanning device. The forest twisted with growing instability. Lightning no longer struck randomly, it struck in precise intervals, like signals. The trees lit up with every flash, revealing shadowed figures of wraiths watching from the storm's edge, hesitant to pursue but unwilling to depart. Why are they just staring? Rofi whispered. They respond to Talcor now, Viren said. He's controlling the static currents. Myra shook her head. He's turning the storm into a sentient defense. Another tremor. This one choked the air with a metallic buzz that crawled against their helmets. Elias felt the vibration through his ribs. How close is he? He asked. In the direction of the shelter, Viren said. He's approaching the children. Elias felt heat ignite in his chest. Then we run. They broke into a sprint, the forest rushing past in streaks. The storm behind them intensified, pushing wind through the trees with physical force, as if it wanted to pull them back. Branches snapped. Ice shattered. Snow rose in spirals. Liam clung to Elias. He's coming. Elias looked down. You saw him? Liam nodded weakly. He watched me when I got lost. The storm moved when he moved. Viren's tone grew grim. Talcor sees the storms as extensions of himself. You were fortunate he didn't test his theories on you. Liam shuddered. The entrance to the shelter came into view, partially buried in snow, glowing faintly with internal light. But something was wrong. The doorway was open wider than before, as if forced. The soft hum inside was disrupted, uneven. Inside, Elias ordered. They rushed through the living doors, which rippled with stress as they bent back into place. The main chamber flickered. Energy lines pulsed erratically along the walls. The structure itself seemed to be struggling. The children huddled in the center, guarded by two Zurati caretakers. Their expressions, usually unreadable, were tense. Myra knelt beside the kids. "You're all right. We're here." One caretaker turned to Viren. "He breached the perimeter." The storm obeyed him. "Where is he now?" Viren asked. "In the central node." Elias looked around. "What node?" Viren pointed toward a sealed organic corridor. "The shelter is grown around a core that regulates energy and environmental stability. Talcor intends to corrupt it. If successful, the storm will expand uncontrolled." "How bad?" Elias asked. "It would consume regions on both sides of the border." Rofi shook his head. "So he wants mass annihilation." "Yes," Viren said. "Unless we stop him." Elias glanced at the soldiers, then at the children. "Myra, Rofi, stay with them. Protect this chamber. No one comes through." Myra protested immediately. "Elias, you can't face him alone." He turned to Viren. "I'm not alone." Viren nodded once, silent commitment in its stance. Myra gritted her teeth. "Fine. But if you're not back in 5 minutes, we're coming after you." "Understood." Elias handed Liam to her and followed Viren down the narrow corridor. The floor vibrated with a steady pulse. The walls glowed red with unnatural energy. The air thickened with static until it crackled along their suits. The hum became a harsh resonance that scraped inside their helmets. The corridor opened into a vast chamber built around a towering organic machine, half metal, half living tissue. Tendrils of energy fed into it from every direction. At its center stood Talcor. Unlike Viren, his form was jagged and augmented, reinforced with storm-reactive armor that pulsed with internal lightning. His eyes glowed with a predatory brilliance. He smiled, an expression uncanny on a Zurati face. "I wondered when you would arrive, Viren." Viren stepped forward. "You've gone too far, Talcor. Shut it down." "Why?" Talcor asked. "To preserve species that cannot evolve. To delay the inevitable collapse." He extended an arm. Static arcs spread outward like wings. "The storm is renewal. It is destruction," Viren countered. Talcor tilted his head. "Destruction is simply transformation." Elias raised his rifle. "Step away from the node." Talcor regarded him with curiosity. "A human? You cling to your fragile world like it owes you permanence." Elias didn't waver. "Move. Now." Talcor turned back to the node. "Humans can barely survive their own mistakes. Why fight nature's correction?" "Because children are in this shelter," Elias said sharply. "Your evolution means nothing if it begins with their graves." Talcor paused. Viren seized the moment. "This ends here." He lunged. The chamber erupted. Talcor unleashed a surge of static energy, slamming Viren back. Elias dove aside as lightning ripped through the floor. The node flickered, destabilizing. The entire structure groaned. Elias fired, but the rounds dissolved against Talcor's armor, scattering sparks. Talcor advanced. "You cannot stop the storm." Viren rose, battered but resolute. "We don't need to stop it. Only disconnect you." Elias understood instantly. "The node. If we sever his link." "Exactly," Viren said. Elias sprinted toward the control tendrils. Static clawed at him, tearing through the suit's defenses. His vision blurred, but he pushed through. Viren engaged Talcor again, drawing the rogue scientist's attention with brutal precision. Elias reached the tendrils and drove his blade arm attachment into the central conduit. The structure convulsed. Energy surged wildly, breaking Talcor's control. "No." Talcor roared, stumbling. Viren seized him, slamming him into the wall with a force that cracked the chamber. The storm outside screamed, then collapsed into silence. Talcor's armor flickered, then went dark. Viren stepped back, breathing hard. "It's over." Elias removed his blade from the conduit. "Is the shelter stable?" "For now," Viren said. "The storm is returning to its natural state." Elias exhaled, relief washing through him. "Let's get back to the children." They returned to the chamber where Myra, Rofi, and the children waited. The kids rushed toward them, voices trembling with hope. "Is it done?" Myra asked. Elias nodded. "He won't threaten anyone again." Via Wren stood beside him. "Today proves something important. Cooperation is possible." Elias looked at the children, alive because of the alien who now stood at his side. "Agreed," Elias said. "Today, it saved us all." Outside, the storm faded into a calm snowfall, marking the end of a threat and the beginning of something new. If you'd like. White Heavy Checkmark, a full combined PDF-style story. White Heavy Checkmark, a sequel story. White Heavy Checkmark, a new HFY series in the same universe. White Heavy Checkmark, a cinematic script version. Just tell me.